Saquon Barkley really is on a historic run right now. Actually historic. That's how special Saquon Barkley is so far this year. We're going to talk more Eagles. We're going to talk more Saquon Barkley. We're going to talk Brandon Graham. We've got a special guest joining us in about a half hour. Trending in the AM on the STT Sports Network. We're live in 30 seconds. Pop, 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 julep. Pop, 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 julep. Pop, 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 julep. Pop, 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 woo! And a very good morning, everybody, and welcome all to Trending in the AM right here on the STT Sports Network. We are live, YouTube, Twitter, you know what to do. Smash the subscribe button, smash the like button. That's what you got to do. Hit those two buttons to help spread the word and get as many people in to find this show as possible. The algorithm is a real thing, people. So let's go. Let's get it started. Let's talk Eagles football today. Let's talk Saquon Barkley. Let's talk the state of the NFL in general. It's Thanksgiving week. We're a couple days away from Turkey Day. Lots going on in the NFL, so make sure you hit that like button and subscribe button. I greatly, greatly appreciate it. I am your host, Phil Stiefel. You can find me on all social media platforms at Bearded Knowledge. And stay tuned. We got a special guest joining us in about a half hour today. But there's lots going on. It's Thanksgiving. It's Eagles dominating football. It's Saquon Barkley on a historic level. Playing football. It's crazy. So we're going to get right into all the comments that are already rolling in. Tulip. Bop, 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 bop. Tulip. I know you don't like the poll question, but I know you like my new intro song. So there you go. Good morning, Adam, and to all of Eagles Nation. You know, I'm doing my best to avoid Sixers talk this week, Adam. I'm doing everything in my power to be thankful for my Eagles and stick to Eagles Nation and stay away from that Sixers talk right there. Quote the Raven, nevermore. I used to be able to quote that stuff. Not anymore. What's up, Rick? Good morning. KJ Henry, solid sign to the Eagles practice squad. All-American at Clemson. Is that the kid they picked up yesterday? To do that, they will have to make another roster move. They'll have to cut somebody from the practice squad. I actually expect Taron Jackson to get the call up from the practice squad to the active roster, Rick. Diving right into more Brandon Graham talk. Brandon Graham is out for the year, obviously. With the torn tricep, where will the Eagles go? Ray Didinger was quoted as saying he expects Taron Jackson to get the first up, which means opening up a roster spot for KJ Henry, who was with the Commanders or the Giants this year. I forget which one. But yeah, that seems to be the route. I do not expect, I expected to talk more Saquon to start, but we could start right with Brandon Graham. I do not expect the Eagles to bring in too many outside bodies to fill the Brandon Graham role for the rest of this year, at least not at first. You know, all along the trade deadline in the season, we heard Vic Fangio speak multiple times about how he would rather, go with the people he's got than bringing in outside people because it's hard to learn his system and it takes time, as you can see, as some of our players have gotten better as the season goes along. So KJ Henry is more of a practice squad Howie thing. Taron Jackson has been here since, I don't know, week 4, week 5. I know he played the first 3 weeks with Carolina this year, but he's been here in the past, knows the team a little bit. So I expect Taron Jackson to be just straight up signed to the active roster, and then the KJ Henry going to the practice squad. You know, it's so funny. I'll get back to Taron Jackson in a little bit because I got a funny story about that there. What's up, Mitch Koff? Another goal last night for you. Even though it was a shootout loss for the Flyers, you got another goal. You're, 8th of the year? Good job there. See, I know Mitch Koff's stats. I might not act like I know my Flyers, but there's Flyers knowledge up in this brain of mine. Taron Jackson has played well in practice, I'm hearing. I don't really care about practice playing well. I want to see it on the field. He's been in the league for 3 years. He's barely made much of an impact yet. 26-year-old kid, Coastal Carolina. We drafted him in 2021 in the 6th round. I have other notes here. I can't read them. No, that's about it. Look, Taron Jackson's going to be just another guy, but what he is going to be is the guy that when Nolan Smith and Josh Sweat take one step up, then Jalen Hunt has to take a step up. So then Taron Jackson takes a step up. I'm not expecting Taron Jackson to fill in any form of Brandon Graham's role in the same level as Brandon Graham, even before he tore his tricep. At his ripe old age of 36, 37, I mean, Brandon Graham led the team in quarterback pressures on Sunday night against the Rams. Brandon Graham was still playing at a pretty elite level, so it's going to be hard. I expect a lot more Nolan Smith and Josh Sweat out there. I expect their snap counts to go up excessively. Jalen Hunt, I mean, he only played 9 snaps in the first 3 quarters of the game, so was kind of shocked there before the fourth quarter, but I fully expect him to be in that 20-snap range next week as well against Baltimore. You're going to need athletic guys on that line, like Jalen Hunt, like Nolan Smith, with someone like Lamar Jackson next week as our opposing quarterback. You're going to need guys that can keep up with him. So we'll see how that plays out. Talk about Monday Night Football. What's there to talk about? I did not watch Monday Night Football last night. I made one bet, and it did not hit. I made one DFS lineup. It did not cash. So there ain't much to talk about. The Ravens, I tried to watch a little bit of the game here or there, moments here or there, just learning, for the Eagles matchup this week, which we'll get into later in the week, Matt Chatter. But trying to learn a little bit about the Ravens. Look, the Ravens are a really good team. Lamar Jackson's a damn good 2-time MVP quarterback. Just something doesn't seem right with the Ravens. Like, they look like a team when I watch them this year that should be blowing their opponents out by 30 every single week. There's so much, good there, but yet they just don't. Like, I'm not a big Chargers guy. I'm not a big Justin Herbert guy, but I fully expected the Chargers to win that game last night, and that's just me, being disappointed again in what Justin Herbert is or isn't, whatever you want to call it. So I didn't, had to catch up on Yellowstone last night. Missed Sunday's episode of Yellowstone, which was actually pretty shocking ending to this week's episode of Yellowstone. So I had to watch that last night instead of the Monday Night Football game. Not had to, chose to watch that instead. But yeah, so look, the Brandon Graham news is obviously very sad. It's very disappointing to lose your star player. Well, not star player, one of your leaders of the team, star leaders of the team at this point of the season when, you're late in the season, you're on a 7-game winning streak. You got everything in front of you and you lose a Brandon Graham. It's a big deal. It's a big loss. And I am more curious about who's going to step up as the leader on this defense. Jalen Carter talked in the offseason after Fletcher Cox retired. Maybe it was in training camp, not the offseason. He talked about how he wanted to take on that leadership role left behind by Fletcher Cox. But he wasn't there yet. He wasn't ready yet to take on that leadership role. But he wanted to grow into that. And he's been becoming quite not just the pivotal part of our defense, like the anchor of our defense, but he's been slowly becoming a leader ever since he got, benched for a drive for missing or being late for practice. There's been a different level of intensity from Jalen Carter's performance on the field and on the sideline. And maybe that is who's going to become the de facto leader of the defense now. I mean, before he came out in garbage time at the end of the game this past week against the Rams, he had literally played. Well, we know he played 100% of snaps the week prior against Washington. And up to the point of him coming out of the game this week, he had played 100% of the snaps as well. This boy is out there playing every snap on defense and playing every snap on defense at a high level. The boy has turned up a different level, different notch, different motor. And it's crazy to see. So Brandon Graham, the player, be replaced by a combination of guys. Brandon Graham, the leader, maybe Jalen Carter. Now, Brandon Graham has already said that he ain't going to go anywhere. He's going to be around. He's going to be hanging out. He's going to be coaching up the boys on the sideline. He's going to be helping coach up the boys in practice. So that's all well and good. That's what we like to see. Kid, what's up, my man? Thank God we don't have to hear about Hairball brothers facing off after last night's game. Go Birds. Honestly, I am not going to lie, kid. When I turned on the game after I finished watching Yellowstone, and I'm watching the game, and I'm watching it as I'm going to sleep, I'm like, it took me like 20 minutes of viewing to even realize it was Harbaugh versus Harbaugh. Like, I don't think ESPN actually did a good enough job marketing it because I totally forgot about it. Maybe I was living in a different zone yesterday. I was a little busy yesterday. But I didn't even think about it, didn't realize it. Honestly, had no clue. The Harbaugh thing, man. I'm not a Jim Harbaugh guy. I don't think he's that great. I'm not a Chargers fan. I'm not a Justin Herbert fan. John Harbaugh, Baltimore, has done a very good job with that franchise over, the decades. But, they don't have that many Super Bowls really to, for the amount of time they've given him. But, he's in that Mike Tomlin. Like, he'll just be there for as long as he wants. But let's get back to the Eagles. Let's get back to talking about them. Let's stay focused on our team and our pros and cons. And obviously the biggest pro is Saquon Barkley right now. And we got to get back to talking about Saquon Barkley. And I kind of want to use the word historic because it's a historic season that this kid's been having. Kid, I call him a kid. I call everybody a kid. I mean, it's literally a historic season what Saquon Barkley's been able to do so far. The yards, not just this week, for the last 2 weeks, this entire season. Eric Dickerson, 1984, 2,105 yards. That's the record. NFL single-season rushing record. He is 716 yards short of that. That's 118 yards a game. He's been averaging about 125 yards a game. Saquon Barkley is legitimately on pace to break not just the Eagles' all-time rushing record, which he might do that this week against Baltimore. He's on pace to break the all-time rushing record in a single season. The last MVP to win from a non-quarterback position, Adrian Peterson, 2012. He is outdoing every statistical category of than AP that year. He's got more yards per game, more touchdowns, better yards per carry. Every single statistical category through this point of the season that Adrian Peterson had, Saquon Barkley's got better numbers already. He had the most rushing yards in a game this past week. Most rushing yards over the last 2 weeks ever. Most scrimmage yards, beating out Deuce Staley and the Pickle Juice game this week. 6 yards per carry after contact. What Saquon Barkley is doing, I mean, he's 215 yards shy of McCoy's record already. He's already, through 11 games, 12 weeks of the season, 5th all-time in the single-season record list for the Eagles. Like, that's just, like, these stats we could keep rattling off about what Saquon Barkley's doing. It's insane. It's literally insane how special Saquon Barkley is playing so far this season. And I was doing the numbers. I was checking out, I like to keep up on these things. Checking out DraftKings this morning, and it just went back to the main screen, so I got to go back. Saquon Barkley is now 3rd in MVP voting odds right now. Josh Allen is the lead, the favorite at plus 150. Lamar Jackson's plus 250. And Saquon Barkley's plus 475. He's jumped all the way up to 3rd. Jared Goff 4th. Mahomes 5th. Oddly, Justin Herbert, after last night's loss, is still 6th. Not really sure there or why there. But Saquon Barkley has a legitimate shot to break the MVP, whatever you want to call it, running back jinx, whatever you want to call it. Would you say our offensive line is actually playing better this year, even after Kelsey retired? Well, I was going to get into the offensive line. The only way Saquon Barkley has, Adam, the season he's having is with elite offensive line play. And you always see clips and social media posts of quarterbacks buying their offensive line presents for Christmas. Saquon Barkley going to be buying those offensive linemen some pretty damn nifty, presents this year. He better be, because he's got to thank them. Thanksgiving, what is he thankful for? Saquon Barkley thankful for that offensive line. And I'm not trying, I've kind of hinted at this a few times over the course of the last couple of weeks, Adam. I'm not trying to say anything about Jason Kelsey. But we haven't missed a beat sliding over Cam Jurgens. Cam Jurgens technically is more physically gifted and more, more talented than Kelsey ever was. Kelsey had this. He had the IQ. Kelsey had the brains. Kelsey had the knowledge and the experience. But Cam Jurgens can, if he stays healthy, and when all is said and done, be better than Jason Kelsey ever was, talent-wise. Kelsey's personality helped put his talent over the top in the public eye. But just straight X's and O's, Cam Jurgens might be a better center, for sure. And how many teams have a right guard the size of Mekhi Becton out there? I mean, let's not put that aside. We always talk about Stoutland U and what Stoutland has been able to do for somebody like Jordan Mailata. What's Stoutland U done for Mekhi Becton, a cast-off first-round pick who couldn't do anything? Comes here, he's playing at a Pro Bowl level at right guard. Excuse me. The offensive line has a major impact on why Saquon Barkley is putting up these historic numbers. Saquon Barkley, the offensive line has an absolute impact on why this team has won 7 games in a row. Hell, we've missed starters on the offensive line during this 7-game winning streak, and we haven't missed a beat. Something special about this offense. I was thinking, is this even a better offensive line than the 2017 Super Bowl team, which had Kelsey on it, had Lane Johnson on it, but had some other greats on it as well? This might be the best incarnation of the Eagles offensive line we've seen over the last 10, 15 years. And there have been a lot of great offensive linemen that have rolled through Philadelphia. Hell, the way I look at it, it's not just Saquon Barkley's numbers. I look at somebody like Kenny Gainwell. Since week 6, he's had 42 carries, over 200 yards, a 4.8 yards per carry. Had a really nice touchdown this past week. The game against Washington had some big runs in the middle of the game in a drive. This offensive line run blocking, I got to specify run blocking, is some of the greatest run blocking I've ever seen. And I watch a lot of offensive line footage. I love watching blocking techniques. I do. I love trench warfare. And they're playing phenomenally. I did throw. I kind of used, I don't know if I actually complimented Kenny Gainwell. I think I complimented the offensive line and used Kenny Gainwell's stats to prove how good the offensive line is. That's all. See? And I was testing you to see if you were paying attention. There's 2 points to the Kenny Gainwell comment. To prove how great the offensive line is, but also to see if you were paying attention. But I think it makes sense. I mean, you look at the numbers of Saquon with the Giants, you look at with the Eagles. What great offensive line. And this is why so many franchises fail with their young quarterbacks. They go out and get these young quarterbacks, young weapons, but they don't build the foundation of a team. The foundation of a football team is built on the offensive line and the defensive line. We're focused on offense today, right now, but it's built with the offensive line. And you see the results of that year in and year out. We could use the Giants. I mean, say what you will, Daniel Jones stinks. He does whatever. They had Saquon Barkley, but they never built an offensive line. You look at other franchises. I always like to point to the Falcons. They draft running backs and tight ends and wide receivers. They never draft an offensive line. So no matter who you put back there, quarterback's never going to succeed. The foundation of a great team is in the trenches, offensive and defensive line. You build from there, then you build out. If you have a great offensive line, your young quarterback can feel safe and protected. You build an offensive line, your quarterback can feel confident in dropping back and throwing those passes. You build that offensive line, your running back's not going to get destroyed and have a short career. The amount of extra years we're putting on Saquon Barkley's career by him playing behind this offensive line. It's crazy. He's getting an extra, I forget what the number, they showed it on the screen Sunday night. He averaged something like 1.2 yards before contact with the Giants. He's averaging like 2.5 yards a carry before contact with the Eagles. It's insane. The offensive line of the Eagles, I forget who it was. I think it was Shane Half did it when he does his all-22, showing the second touchdown run. Or maybe it was Fran Dunphy of Saquon Barkley on Sunday night. And it was a 13 personnel the Eagles had out there. And Mekhi Becton, I forget exactly what happened, but he didn't miss his blocking assignment, but something the defense did, it changed what the Eagles were trying to do. And Mekhi Becton was able to adjust on the fly, literally block 3 guys at once on the line. Well, Joe, you got to pay attention. Got to pay attention. Well, you know what? We're going to dive right in. We got a special guest joining us today on the I Have No Sponsor hotline. So please welcome to the show from Philly Press Box Radio. First time on the show, Mr. Bill Furman. How you doing?
Good morning, Phil. Good to join you, and love the show.
Hey, thank you very much for coming on. Obviously, lots going on in the world right now. It's Thanksgiving week, but our Philadelphia Eagles are playing at a extremely high level right now on the backs of Saquon Barkley and our defense. I mean, Bill, this is not to knock on you for being my elder, but you've seen a lot of football your day. When was the last time you can remember an offense playing with a running back kind of like Saquon Barkley here?
Never in Philly. I mean, what we're seeing is top of the line. I mean, the offensive line has just been incredible. Saquon is he's got extra gears that all of a sudden he pushes another button and off he goes. He's got the speed. The offensive line is playing fantastic. Nothing like I've ever seen.
Yeah, I mean, we were just talking about the offensive line a little bit there and how much that, plays a factor. And I think the Eagles do things the right way. I'm a big offensive line fan. I love watching blocking and blocking techniques and stuff. And the Eagles have always had that philosophy. You build the offensive line, then you build outwards. And that's why so many football franchises do fail, because they get all these weapons and they don't have the offensive line there. So while Saquon gets all the glory for the yards and the touchdowns, the offensive line never gets that credit. But you need to have that foundation to have a success.
Oh, absolutely. And I'm an old offensive line guy. Coached it at the high school level for many years, so that's my bread and butter.
Okay.
I love offensive linemen. They're nasty, big, mean people that get the job done and don't get the credit. And fantastic of Saquon. I'm sure you saw the clip going down the bench and thanking every single one of those guys because they broke the record. Saquon's a class act certainly when it comes to that. But I was thinking about this as I was thinking about the show and didn't really know exactly what we were talking about, or going to be talking about. But, Jim Johnson probably gets as much credit as a assistant coach that we've ever had around here. He needs to move over because Jeff Stoutland is that guy.
Yeah. I mean, you said you coached it a little bit. What makes Jeff Stoutland such a great or what makes any coach great at coaching an offensive line? What's that special trait that makes you so great at that coach? Because it's such a specialized coaching job.
Yeah, it's the attention to detail. It's the attention to detail and not accepting anything except the best. Okay. You obviously there's always room for improvement, but you can't just say, "Hey, great job," and move on. There's always something. It's always pushing to get better and better. And when you're trying to mesh 5 guys or 6 with a tight end or maybe 2 tight ends, you're trying to block 7 guys in combination. Sometimes, it's hard to get all 7 guys to do things perfectly. And that's where Saquon comes in, because they don't necessarily have to be perfect with him back there because he takes care of the rest.
Right. No, I mean, I don't know if you've seen it. Go back and watch the all-22. I think Fran Dunphy did it, of the second Saquon Barkley touchdown. And you're saying that everybody's got to be on the same page. They had 13 personnel out there, and Mekhi Becton was supposed to slide over. He was supposed to cut over and block a guy. Somebody on the defense made an adjustment, but then he was able to, on the fly, adjust. Mekhi Becton is a guy that was a cut first-round pick from just a few years ago, and now he's playing at a Pro Bowl level here at a new position, and that's that attention to detail you're talking about, that a guy that's never played a position already in 1 year under Jeff Stoutland knows exactly where to be at every single point on every single run.
Yeah, and I think back maybe it was in the first or second week of camp, they were talking about that job was going to Tyler Steen.
Right.
That was his job. But Steen has played well too when he's been put in there.
Absolutely.
But Becton, they moved his position around, taught him, and obviously you have to have good players too. But I think the detail that Becton has put in, and you're seeing the results. He is massive too, by the way.
I mean, there's not many right guards or guards in general are normally a little smaller than those tackles, and he's he's doing a pretty damn good job for a guy his size. Adam comment like the Bengals, they have a good offense, but don't invest in the offensive line. I was talking earlier, the Giants failing Saquon Barkley by not getting an offensive line. The Falcons drafting all these weapons, no offensive line. Why is it that teams are so scared to invest in those trenches?
I don't know. I mean, to me, the game is changing back a little bit in my mind. You
Right.
Look at the teams that are really good right now, the Eagles with Barkley, the Packers with Josh Jacobs now, Derrick Henry, Pittsburgh's getting back to running the ball again. Andy Reid doesn't, not quite so much because he runs with the West Coast offense more than most, but they got away from the running backs and went all wide receivers. But the teams that are winning now are the guys that I do hate hockey shootouts.
So do I. I do too. I had to put that right up. I hate them too.
But I think that when it comes down to it, the quarterbacks aren't throwing for 350 yards anymore. It's the balance and it's the running games that are winning games.
Yep, absolutely. DJ saying the best offensive linemen aren't mean; they just enjoy knocking people's heads off.
That's one thing to say.
Yeah, DJ is a good football mind as well. I was asked earlier, and I was trying to talk about it, and I was trying to get the right words out, and I'm really struggling to say it without offending anybody. And that's on the offensive line with Cam Jurgens. And I'm not Jason Kelce's a all-time Eagles legend, Hall of Famer, all this stuff. But someone said, someone asked earlier in the show about not missing a beat going to Cam Jurgens. And I kind of feel like, without offending anybody, that Cam Jurgens could potentially be better than Jason Kelce. He's more physically gifted. He's bigger. He's stronger. He's faster than Kelce ever was. He doesn't have the personality that Kelce did. But I don't think anybody could have, imagined the drop-off. There'd be no drop-off at all. Just be at least the same, if not a little better, going from a legend to Cam Jurgens as an offensive line guy. What do you think of, how Cam Jurgens has performed so far?
Oh, I think he's been great. And again, I think that goes back to Stoutland, and it goes back to the preparation. They put Jurgens at guard last year to get him in the league, get him playing, to prepare him for a lot of things that he's seeing this year under Kelce. But it comes back to Stoutland. They drafted a good player. They did a lot of homework on him and drafted the kind of guy they want to fit their system. And it looks like they got a good one.
Yeah. Is it insulting to say that he's actually more talented physically than Jason Kelce, considering that, I feel like I tweeted it out like a week or so ago, and people are like, how dare you put him on the same level of Jason Kelce? I'm like, not saying he's there yet, but he's got all the physical tools to be better.
Well, I think Jason, he was a great player. We got to watch him mature as a player. He wasn't a great player as a young player. So we got to watch him mature and become a good player. But Jason Kelce's on a little bit of a different scale here in Philadelphia. He's never buying a drink, first of all, and he's never coming down off the parade pedestal. So there's that. But at the end of the day, he's a football player, and he has had flaws just like all the rest of them.
You say that, and I'm going to get totally sidetracked. Haven't talked about it yet this week on the show. But are we overexposed to Jason Kelce? Because now he's got his nighttime talk show coming out soon, and he's everywhere. And I'm kind of tired of the celebrity Kelce.
Yeah, and I was just telling my wife this morning that I saw late last night where Kylie Kelce now has a podcast coming out. You say everybody wants to talk about what's going on in the Kelce house. Well, you might as well hear it right from me. Now she's got her own thing. Jason in Philly was really good, but then it is what it is. The whole Travis and Taylor Swift took it to a whole new level.
Yeah.
And now, I mean, the mom's at movies. I mean, it's everywhere. And from what we've seen or heard, at least, Jason is still Jason, and I hope that stays that way.
Yeah, absolutely. Back to actual football though. So all the attention is going to Saquon Barkley on this offense, but quietly, Jalen Hurts is having a pretty solid year. Obviously, he's now gone. I think he's only had one turnover since the bye week now. He's gotten that cleaned up. It's almost like a forgotten thing that we have this really good quarterback there, because you don't really need the quarterback right now when you're running the ball at historic paces. I crunched the numbers, actually. We are on pace to break Eric Dickerson's rushing record, with Saquon Barkley this year. We are just inside that number right now. We're forgetting how great Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown and the rest of this offense really is. It's great to have that in the back pocket if you go up against a team that figures out how to stop Saquon, right?
Yeah, I think one of the big things about building championship teams is the egos, controlling the egos. And if Jalen Hurts is happy at 170 yards passing, no turnovers, 40, 50 yards rushing, making plays, winning games, because that's what Jalen has told us. It's all about the W's. That's great. If the one that's really probably sacrificed the most is Devontae Smith. He's a 60, 70-yard guy where he could be a 100-plus yard guy on many other teams. AJ's getting his. Nick Sirianni early in the year, his ego was part of the problem on all them fourth down tries. Well, he's toned that down. And I think controlling egos and makes winning games a whole lot better.
Controlling whose job is it? Because you mentioned Nick Sirianni, and there was obviously a lot of screaming from the rooftops that people fired Nick Sirianni even 3-4 weeks into the season this year.
Right.
But I kind of say that the checking the ego starts at the top. And I think people need to give some credit to Nick Sirianni for being able to control his ego to an extent. And I'm sure you saw the video of him dressing the team down in the locker room after the game on Sunday and him saying, we haven't done shit yet. You know what I mean? We still got that goal. For as much as we complain as a fan base about Nick Sirianni, he does have these guys believing and being that leader and I guess checking his ego and everybody else's ego. It starts right there with him.
Yeah, absolutely. It starts at the top, and if it was his coaching staff, or if it was Howie Roseman or whoever, or just himself looking at himself and saying, you know what, I was a little over the top there. Dan Campbell's the same way. Dan Campbell trusts his players with the Lions, and he thinks, hey, we're going to line up, we're going to punch you in the mouth. It doesn't matter if it's 4th and 1, 4th and 3, we're going to make it. Well, you know what? Sometimes you don't.
Yeah, absolutely. So obviously the Eagles offense is getting a lot of the attention, but honestly, you mentioned Jim Johnson's name a few minutes ago. This is the best Eagles defense I've seen in maybe since Jim Johnson was still coaching the Eagles. One of the number 1 ranked defenses in football right now. Obviously, they had a very big leadership and actually on the field loss in Brandon Graham on Sunday. What do you think the Eagles are going to miss more? The performance on the field of a 36-year-old man who's still playing at a pretty decent level, or that leadership ability of Brandon Graham?
Well, I think what you're going to see is Brandon Graham. You're not going to lose the leadership of Brandon Graham.
Truth.
He's going to be there every day, every minute, and he's going to be in every meeting. And he's the captain and the leader of that football team on the defensive side, at least. But you know what? He was playing really well and probably played his best game the other night that he's played in a long, long time. Unfortunately, it might be his last.
Absolutely. Well, do you think Brandon Graham's one of those guys that's going to let himself go out like that? You're starting to hear little rumors and rumblings that maybe he'll try to play one more year.
Well, I mean, if he can play at that level, good. But he'll be what? He'll be 37 come next season. Right? His 17th year, 16th year.
Yeah, next year would be 17. Yeah,
17. Man, it's tough on the body. Especially if he's going to be laid up for 6 months or something. I mean, you can run, but
what do you think the Eagles should do with the position? Obviously, they're going to have to expect more Nolan Smith and Josh Sweat, who have stepped up this year. Jalix Hunt, I expected him to step up with Bryce Huff being out, but he didn't really play much till the fourth quarter this past week. They got Taron Jackson. Everyone's talking about him on the practice squad. What do you think is the best course of action here? Just to continue rolling with what they got? You hear a lot of Eagles fans, well, this guy's available, but you know that Vic Fangio spoke nonstop during the trade deadline weeks that he didn't want extra guys coming in. He just wanted to keep going with what he had. Who's most responsible to step up now?
Well, the most responsible is the one that's probably been the biggest disappointment, and that's Huff.
Okay.
They haven't got anything out of him.
Well, he's on IR for the next 3 weeks still at a minimum. So
right. So, but as we go down the stretch, there's a lot of football left. That's where I think that's where we lose a little bit of sight here. We're 10-2. There's a long way to go here, and unfortunately there's injuries that are going to happen along the way. But yeah, I think they got to get Huff going to get guys off of other teams' practice squads or that are sitting at home. That's not the answer. There's a reason they're sitting at home.
That's exactly what everyone was bringing up all these names like Jason Pierre-Paul and whatnot yesterday. I'm like, these guys are either old or not any good anymore. Like you got to go with what you got. And Vic Fangio always talks about, how he didn't say it exactly like this, but it's difficult to pick up his schemes. And you saw a big difference between the first 4 weeks of the defense to the last 7 weeks as they got comfortable. It takes a while to learn Vic Fangio's style, and just roll with what you got and just hope that next man up mentality isn't just on the offensive line; it's on the entire defense as well.
Exactly, and the same thing for Slay. I don't know what's going to come of that concussion that took him out of the game. It's only Tuesday, so we got a long way to get to the weekend. But him going out, and I'm not really as much in love with Slay anymore. He's getting older as well, still playing okay. But it changes the whole rotation. Mm-hmm. That's where the problem comes in.
It's crazy. I didn't even realize this. They said it on the broadcast. It was like a quick little snip from Chris Collinsworth that he's the second oldest starting cornerback in the NFL. And I have no idea that. He's only 32 years old, Darius Slay, I believe. Like I didn't realize that the drop off of starting cornerbacks happen at such an early age.
Those young kids coming in at wide receivers now running 4.2 somethings. You could be a 4.45 guy still and be slow. These kids just keep getting faster each year as they're coming.
They weren't running 4.2s back in your day, were they?
No, we didn't hardly drive 4.2s back then.
What do you think? You talk about Darius Slay. It's pretty crazy that Quinion Mitchell is as a rookie and Cooper DeJean as a rookie have been able to step in and play at such an elite level so fast. I kind of joked before the season started. I was like, I didn't want to start drama or anything, but I'm like, Quinion Mitchell is already the number one cornerback on this team. I know Darius Slay is, but Quinion Mitchell's the most talented. And everyone thought I was nuts because I just saw, I don't know, if a different style player, but I saw elite cornerback play, kind of like Eric Allen growing up, watching Eric Allen play cornerback, who should be in the Hall of Fame. That's the kind of talent level that I saw right away. And he stepped in right away and has done, he might win the Defensive Rookie of the Year award. He might already be an all-pro player as a rookie.
Yeah. Well, we had Ray Dininger on our show several times, but around the draft time, and his two top-rated corners, the Eagles got them both.
Yeah.
And I talked to Ray when we went to that event the other night at the Conshohocken Brewing, and I talked to him again about that. He said, "Yeah." He said, "I'm not surprised. These guys were clearly the two best guys." He said, "Now the adjustments that they've made to go against NFL type receivers has been second to none. But they're so quick and have such great breaks to the football. That's what he really likes."
Yeah, I was prepared to take Cooper DeJean with the first round pick. Yeah. Because I knew a little bit of Quinion Mitchell, but not much. Because in my mind, there's no way he was going to be past the 13th or 14th pick in the draft. So I did very little research on him because it was just never going to happen. I'm like, I'll take Cooper DeJean if he's there. Why not? And we got them both. This Eagles defense, everyone talks about this team, in a certain way, but I don't think people realize how young this team really is.
Yeah.
Josh Sweatson is mid to late 20s, Bryce Huff, most of our guys, Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis, Milton Williams, the cornerbacks, most of these teams on their rookie deals are just coming up at the end of their rookie deals. This defense is kind of set to have success pretty long term with a very, very strong amount of youth talent on it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's we always like to harass Howie Roseman.
Yeah.
And last year everybody wanted to kick him out of town because all the Georgia guys were busts. Well, guess what? They needed a system that they could work in. They've got that system, and they're all playing really well. And you can't talk about the defense without talking about Zach Bond. I mean, I heard the story the other day where when Howie wanted to get Bond from New Orleans, he was looking at him as an outside guy and a special team. Fangio watches film and says, "I think we can put this guy on the inside, and he's going to be a monster." And sure enough, man, he has played all pro level.
He's honestly overshadowed the fact that even Nakobe Dean's played really well. We'll get to Nakobe Dean in a second, but I mean, Zach Bond's 27, but he really hasn't played much football over the years because of just being a special teamer, as a backup. Like, Howie needs to get on his horse and extend this guy now before he hits free agency and gets a big deal elsewhere. I mean, I can't remember a scenario where a player in Eagles history had this kind of a jump in a season, just coming out of nowhere. Again, that's on Vic Fangio as well. Vic Fangio, you give all this credit to Jeff Stoutland on the offensive line. What Vic Fangio has been able to do with somebody like Zach Bond, who, pretty much out of left field, just goes to show how great of a coordinator and coach Vic Fangio is.
Yeah, I mean, so much scheme has to do with scheme, and a lot has to do with the fact that Jalen Carter is wrecking football games. If you have to double team Jalen Carter every play, which I believe I saw the numbers the other day, 78% of the plays he was double teamed. I think that was the right number. Well, guess what? Somebody's not blocking somebody.
Right.
Whether you're getting help or getting one-on-ones the rest of the offensive line, or you're not sending a guy to the second level to block a linebacker. Dean, I think, let me see here. Dean had 5 tackles, 3 assists. Vaughn had his worst game this week. Only 2 tackles, 1 assist. Whether it was because they were blocking him, didn't get to see the all 22 on this game, but whether they were blocking him or he was in pass coverage or whatever, his tackles were down, but the defense was not down.
Nakobe Dean, I think, is one of the biggest benefactors of the Vic Fangio and Zach Bond's success. I mean, I was really excited when we drafted Nakobe Dean because I liked his talent. I was a little concerned about his size and didn't really get on the field much his rookie year. Last year he got hurt. But every time I think about Nakobe Dean, I think Nakobe Dean can be a really, really, I don't want to use the word elite. That gets thrown around too much. But a really, really strong leader on this defense for years to come. I think there's a little bit of too much of a quick trigger on Eagles fans to, this guy's a bust or he's no good. We saw it even with Nolan Smith coming into this. He's a bust. You got to move on from him. Sometimes these guys take a year or two, and then getting a coach like Vic Fangio, who has no expectations to become a head coach. He just wants to come here, coach defense for the next 3 to 4 years, retire off into the sunset. I think it gives him that comfortability to just coach these guys. He's not thinking about the next job. He's just here to coach these guys and make them the best football players. And I think Nakobe Dean is one of those guys that's benefiting massively from that Vic Fangio being brought in here.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And, what I would like to know, and we are never going to know this probably because we're on the outside looking in, is what happened last year. What happened in that last half of the season? No, that team came out on both sides of the football the whole half of last season unprepared for Sundays. Mm-hmm. And Chet and I talked about this almost every week, is they lost the game during the week.
Right.
They just got spanked on Sunday for not preparing during the week. This is a different bunch, it appears. And in turn, the preparation is what's got guys like Dean knowing, I love when these guys come out and just start pointing because they watch the film. They know what's going to happen. And I think it's certainly made some of these guys a lot better players.
I mean, I think Mista's saying it perfectly here. I mean, if you think about how the first 2 drives defensively went for the Eagles on Sunday night, I mean, the Rams just marched right down their throats 2 straight drives. Last year, under Desai and Patricia, that game would have had a totally different outcome than this year. And Fangio was able to make those adjustments immediately, not wait till halftime, not wait till the third or fourth quarter, immediately. And I wrote this down, and I've mentioned it like 3 times. I don't think anybody is talking about it, and no one even thinks I'm making a good point here. The Rams were 0 for 8 on third down on Sunday night. Mm-hmm. And what was our biggest problem last year? Couldn't get off the field on third down. Our defense would get tired. It would get gassed. Fangio's got these guys getting off the field. I mean, Saquon Barkley had more yards than the Rams did on Sunday, just alone, because of the defense getting off the field on third down.
Yeah, and so much goes into that, I think, too, is rushing the passer. They're so much better at rushing the passer this year than they were last year. The linebacker play obviously is better. You got better corners. And it's a whole group effort to get there. But you're exactly right. I mean, third and 8 was a good down for the offense last year against us.
Yeah, no, I think it's big. You say everybody, I think it's very important to compliment Howie Roseman as well, that even he's adjusted because he's listening to what Vic Fangio wants. He's listening to what Kellen Moore wants. Even Howie Roseman is adjusting to an extent his philosophies on building a team to make sure he gives the coaches the players they want. So there's no more square pegs, round hole kind of philosophy. It's everybody's on the same page. The vision is the same for everybody.
Yeah, and along with that is you have to find those guys that are going to fit in the locker room.
Yes.
You can't. It goes back to your thing about how do you replace Brandon Graham? You don't want to get some guy in here that comes in and he's not about what we're trying to get done. And he's here to get a check for the last 8 weeks. And, we can't have those guys. So you're exactly right. That all plays into it.
Absolutely. So big picture, the Eagles are now betting favorite-wise, the third favorite to win the Super Bowl. Are you feeling that confidence that a lot of Eagles fans are, that as long as they keep this vision going, that this team will be playing in late February, mid-February? I still say it's a collision course with Detroit for the right in the Super Bowl. I feel like the NFC has the 2 best teams in Detroit and Philadelphia right now.
Well, Phil, I've said this 100 times all the way back when I was coaching, and I say it to Chet all the time. You're never as good as you think you are when you win. You're never as bad as you think you are when you lose. I think you got to pump the brakes a little bit here.
Okay.
To think that they're going to go 15-2. I mean, I'd like to think that. They got to play the Ravens. They got to play the Steelers. Those are going to be tough games. They should win the other games, but this is the NFL, and you just never know. Playoffs, you may end up in Green Bay in 2 foot of snow. You just don't know. I think you just got to take it. I love what I'm watching. It's fun. It's certainly fun to watch. And I think they're going to win Sunday. I think they're going to win, through. But to expect this team, any team, to win all their games is.
I'm not putting all the games. I'm not saying that. I honestly don't even know if they'll get to I think they'll drop one of the 2 against the Steelers and the Ravens. You got Washington. It's hard to beat them twice, even though they look like they're coming back down to earth. Look, Carolina pushed KC this weekend. You know what I mean? So on any given Sunday, even Kansas City can struggle with a team like Carolina. So you just never know.
That's right. That's right. And again, I hate to go back to this but it's part of the game. Is injuries happen.
Absolutely.
We watched Tampa Bay, whatever it's been now, a month ago, lose Mike Evans and Chris Godwin in the same game.
Yep.
And that's like 3,000 yards of receiving. They lost. One for the season, one for a month, and they didn't win again.
Yep.
Until this past week when they got Evans back finally.
I kind of feel like I think I've been scarred by the Sixers more so than the Eagles. That every time I see A.J. Brown get tackled, or I think Saquon got hit in the nether regions in the game at one point, but you didn't know at first. He was just down on the ground in pain. I'm like, every time an Eagle gets hit, I'm in nervous mode because I've been scarred so many times because one injury can change the outcome of a season like that.
Absolutely. And you just want to hold your breath because it's so important. You see a lineman laying on the ground. Landon Dickerson was on the ground the other night. I was like, oh my goodness.
Here we go.
Get up.
Guys, we're talking about Bill Furman here, Philly Press Box Radio. You guys do a great job, you and Chet, and you guys got a great show tonight instead of tomorrow night. You guys, I'm glad that Chet commented because I had written in my notes somewhere here that I can't read. You guys got Joe Zagorski is an NFL writer. Most recently wrote Football in the 70s. And from Conshohocken Brewery, you got Andrew Callaghan. I know you guys were there while they were filming their last great sports debate reunion. Was it last week? I think they filmed that.
Yes.
Philly Sports Debate is one of my favorite shows growing up. I loved, even back in the early 2000s, they were showing replays of it like at 2:00 in the morning on the weekends. And I would stay up to rewatch episodes I watched 20 years ago just to see how right or wrong the guys were on it. You guys got a great show tonight. And, what did you guys watch them film the great sports debate the other night?
No, you weren't able to watch it.
Okay.
We were coming in on the downstairs of this place.
Okay.
The show was being taped on the upstairs, but as soon as it ended, the guys came down, or they opened it up, and everybody mingled. All those guys are great guys to talk to. They're fun. They're just regular old guys like me and you trying to talk sports and have fun.
Absolutely. So real quick before we let you go, it's obviously Thanksgiving week. I got to ask you, is there anything that you're thankful for with the Sixers? I know I promised my listeners we wouldn't talk Sixers, but I got to ask you about the Sixers for a minute or two here before I let you go.
That I'm thankful for the Sixers. My goodness. No, I can't say that I am thankful for anything with them. But I have a solution if you want to hear my solution.
Absolutely. Hold on real quick. We have somebody that's saying something directly to you. Kid Camden saying, I see you, Mr. Furman. Buckeyes -21 over Michigan. Is this like an inside joke I don't get or something like that?
No, he's a big Buckeyes fan, and he's from Jersey. He's a Philly sports guy, but he lives in Columbus now, so he's a big Buckeyes guy. And he, of course, beating Penn State, I've had to eat a lot of crow here for the last month. So yeah, we'll talk more. We'll talk.
All right, you can do Buckeyes talk on tonight's show because I know nothing about the Buckeyes or college football. But back to those Sixers there. How do you fix the Sixers then?
I think for the Sixers organization to save face at this point, they need to shut Embiid down. Shut him down. If it's a month, it's a month. Whatever it takes. Come back. Hopefully they'll be somewhere close enough to try to make the playoffs. But this night by night, I'm hurt. I'm not hurt. I'm playing. And then, last year when he sat out, he came back and he throw in 35 points. Now he comes back and he looks like a rust bucket. Just sit him down. Yep. Move on. Try to win some games enough that you could put a steady lineup out there. And hopefully in whatever amount of time it takes, if it's a month, you're still in the hunt to get into the playoffs with him being healthy, because otherwise you can't sit here and do what they're doing. You're going to lose the fan base if you're not already losing.
I kind of feel like they're already losing the fan base, the Sixers. Yeah. I think the Sixers fans as a whole are finally officially over it all. You've got the Eagles playing so great. You've got the youth movement with the Flyers and Matvei Michkov and stuff like that. You got the Phillies, coming off another deep run, and Sixers wise, I mean, you're just sitting there with Jarrett McCain playing carefree basketball. I think you're losing Sixers Nation, and Sixers Nation is kind of that. You're saying shut them down for a month. I think Sixers fans wouldn't bat an eye if the Sixers organization just said, "Look, Joel's hurt; he's out for the rest of the year." I almost feel like that would reinvigorate the fan base because they would know that section of this team history is over with.
Well, yeah. I mean, if they don't think he can come back, shut it down.
Yeah.
And the other thing I feel bad about, Nick Nurse, when he does these pressers, it looks like somebody stole his dog.
Yeah.
And he doesn't know who he's playing every day when he comes to the arena. And he's not putting a good product out there. He knows it. He's a good coach. He knows that they don't have their best chance of winning every night they go out there. And they're 10.5 games behind the Celtics. When I looked yesterday, I don't know what happened last night. 10.5 games out behind the Celtics, and they only played 16 games. Like, you ain't catching them.
Like Nick Nurse, you say he is a good coach, and I keep asking myself, is he? Because I went back and found tweets that I made the day they announced hiring Nick Nurse, and I was so hyped for Nick Nurse as our coach. I thought he was an excellent person to hire. I thought he was the best candidate available. And you talk about him with the media, and I feel like he's taking the bullets for the organization's failures
Mhm.
and Joel Embiid's failures to an extent. And one side of my brain saying, well, maybe he's not that good of a coach. The other side of my brain is saying he's just in a shitty situation and is being forced to take the bullet.
I'm
You know what I
going with
mean?
that. I'm going with that.
You're going on that side of the equation
Yeah.
because you've seen the pressers with Kyle Neubeck and Keith Pompey and how snippy he gets when answering these questions. And I kind of feel like he's being told you've got no choice. This is how you've got to answer these questions.
Yeah, he's not the one making the decisions of who's playing back to back,
Right?
and whether this bruised knee is going to, keep George out tonight or whatever. That's not on Nick Nurse. Somebody else is making those calls. And
right.
Like I say, I don't think he knows when he gets there who's going to be in the lineup.
Yep, absolutely agree. Well, Bill, I greatly appreciate you taking a half hour of your morning to come and talk sports with us.
Love it.
It's a lot of fun. It is things. I can't believe. I remember I was texting you last week. I'm like, what day are we going to do this? And I'm like, how about Thursday? And you're like, yo, that's Thanksgiving. I'm like, crap, it is.
Yeah.
Totally forgot that Thanksgiving's already upon us here.
Already the end of November. And like we're saying, the Eagles, we're 12, 13 weeks into the season already with these bye weeks. I mean, where is the season going? We talk about college football. It's rivalry weekend already. Season's basically over. It's time is flying by.
Is that's a lot of Penn State jerseys hanging up back there behind you?
Yeah.
Are you a Penn State guy?
Yeah, I'm a Penn State guy. This is actually my son's house.
Did you go to Penn State or
no? I'm a Delco guy, man.
I don't know. That's the thing. Like I always tell people that my life as a sports fan got better when I realized I wasn't required to be a Penn State fan. Because why am I a Penn State fan? Because I grew up in Delco, so I have to be a Penn State fan. I just feel like everybody that's in Delco just forces themselves to be Penn State fans, and I don't know why that ever happened.
Well, see, when you're as old as me, then when I became a Penn State fan, is because John Capoletti was playing at Penn State, and he was a Bonner guy, Delco guy, and then it went on and on from there.
So you were a Bonner guy, that part of Delco. Okay, gotcha.
Well, I was down that way. I didn't go to Bonner, but
neither did I. I would have been an O'Hara kid, but that's
gotcha.
That's another story for another day. But Bill, have a great Thanksgiving. Best to your entire family. Thank you very much for spending the time with me this morning, guys. Philly Press Box Radio tonight, right here, same channel, 7 p.m. tonight, guys, with Bill and Chet. Thank you very much.
All right, Phil. Thanks, buddy.
Thanks. That was Bill Furman right there on the I Have No Sponsor hotline. We'll get back to the rest of the comments here in a second. I got a nice little tweak here on this conversation, but make sure you guys check out Philly Press Box Radio tonight. Like they said, they've got some great guests. NFL writer Joe Zagorski, the NFL in the 70s, and Andrew Colligan, Conshohocken Brewery, joining them tonight on the show. So make sure you guys check them out tonight. Bill and Chet do fantastic work. I love listening to their content. Always have, and I'm glad to have them right here on the STT Sports Network every single week now. I'm thankful that the Sixers are usually getting blown out by halftime. And yeah, I absolutely agree with you on that one. McCain, Maxey, PG wouldn't be the worst thing on the planet, but PG's Hollow Point act would get pretty, yeah, exactly. I'm more excited for the Wings than the Sixers. The Philadelphia Wings are still a thing. Yes, they really are. Don't know much about them anymore, but there used to be a point at them. Back when I was like in college and high school, Philadelphia Wings in the late 90s were the hottest ticket in Philly, weren't they at one point? I abandoned the Wings in 2014 when they pulled that garbage they pulled. I don't even know what that means. But you can say what you're thankful for here. We're a couple days from Thanksgiving. Still don't know what the Thanksgiving. I will be live tomorrow 8 a.m. as normal. Don't know what we're doing on Thanksgiving show wise. But we'll do something probably, maybe, depending on how early I wake myself up on Thanksgiving. But it is Thanksgiving, and it's a great time to say what you're thankful for. And we're thankful for in Philadelphia the youth movement in Philadelphia. Jarrett McCain with the Sixers. Quinion Mitchell, Jalen Carter, Cooper DeJean with the Eagles. Matvey Michkov with the Flyers and some of the other guys. Phillies, Andrew Painter on the horizon. Like the youth movement in Philadelphia sports, while a majority of our teams are actually playing pretty well, it's so great to see. And that's what I'm thankful for right now is the youth movement in Philadelphia sports, along with you guys in the core 12. Does Fangio run more blitzes with Brandon Graham's injury? Marshall, that's an interesting question. We've already talked about it a little bit throughout the show. even how you fill the role of Brandon Graham. It's going to be more Nolan Smith. It's going to be more Josh Sweat. It's going to be some Jalix Hunt or an increased role for him. I fully expect Taron Jackson to get not elevated from the practice squad, just signed from the practice squad. They brought in another kid to fill his role in the practice squad. I'll be curious to see what they do. I kind of feel like Vic Fangio is the kind of coach, at least before he makes mid-game adjustments, he's just be like, next man up. This is what we were doing with Brandon Graham. You're in the Brandon Graham role now, so now you've got to do it. And then he'll tweak it as he goes. I don't think he'll blitz more. I don't think he'll blitz less. I think he's just going to say, all right, you're in that spot. It's time for you to do the job. But I also have confidence in Vic Fangio making the adjustments on the fly. I mean, you think about it. Go back and think about your mentality watching Sunday night's football game after the first 2 drives from the Rams offense and how they marched right down the field. And Vic Fangio didn't waste any time making adjustments to his game plan and his schemes. Like that. Like that. Gained over 130 yards on the first 2 drives. They didn't even gain 170 the rest of the game because he was able to make those adjustments. So he's going to go in with the same game plan, in my opinion, just next man up, but he's going to have backup options ready to go to tweak to like that. That's at least how I see it playing out. Sixers are 11 games behind now. Damn. They moved the team in 2014. Oh, is that why they went away? Because I know they went away. I thought the league collapsed, honestly, and then it got brought back. I don't really know much about lacrosse. I won't lie to you. There should be a damn youth movement every other year or every year. We get plenty too attached to players. If we need to dump Schwartz, JT, or Casty, then dump them. That's a Phillies comment right there. You know, I got a lot of flack on Twitter when I said I'm okay if the Phillies shopped around JT. Rumors floating around yesterday that Castellanos has been on the block, out Bohm's on the trade block. Look, there's going to have to be changes to the Phillies for sure. Bring back armpit farts? What is this? Did you start drinking a little too early this morning, mister? I don't get this one. I'm totally off on this one. Totally missed on this one. No clue what that even is supposed to mean. All right, I'm going to try to do something here. I'm going to try to share something on my screen here. So I did do a little Google because obviously when Ray Dinger says something, I listen. Ray Dinger's a respected person. And Ray Dinger brought up that Taron Jackson will be the guy that steps in first in the Brandon Graham loss. So I'm sitting there. I'm like, all right, I know Taron Jackson used to play for the Eagles. He's on our practice squad, etc. But I just want to get some more details for you guys on Taron Jackson. So I Googled Taron Jackson's name. And this right here, when I Googled Taron Jackson, that is what popped up. I think Google messed up a little bit here. I'm pretty sure that's Andy Dalton and not Taron Jackson on your screen right now. But Google says that is Taron Jackson. Just throwing it out there for you guys to see. Not everything you get online, even Google, is 100% accurate. And this is the picture I was sent from Google when I wanted to know who Taron Jackson really was. 6'2" guy, Coastal Carolina, 6th-round pick, back in 2021 of the Eagles. All his stats were accurate and stuff like that. But this is the picture. I think it's a major Google fail. Major Google fail right there on that one. Just something I thought this was extremely funny. Had to share that. Had to put that out there. Just one of the weirdest, craziest, oddball things that's pretty much ever happened. When I Google things, because clearly, that was not Taron Jackson there on the screen. But yeah, guys, you're watching Trending in the AM right here on the STT Sports Network. Please, I ask you, hit that like button, hit that share button, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already done that. It means a lot to me if you guys do that. And if you want to help support the brand, great way to do that is to purchase the gear, purchase merch. So go to lillianscreations.com, hit the contact thing, tell them you'd like to get a Trending in the AM t-shirt, hat, hoodie, whatever. They got our logos on file. I've already got some shirts. I've been wearing my Foxy shirts lately. But great site. You'll help support me. You'll also help support another great local business in Lillian's Creation. Check them out, lillianscreations.com. Email them and ask for Trending in the AM t-shirts. right there, guys. I'd greatly appreciate that. But, guys, let's continue on with the show today. We're talking Eagles. We're talking Saquon Barkley. We're talking what we're thankful for. And you know, I really, truly think we should be thankful for the Eagles in general, but the youth movement in Philadelphia right now. I really, truly do. And I mean, when you really think about the youth movement, you could include Jalen Hurts' name in that equation. Jalen Hurts, I think we kind of forget that Jalen Hurts is only in his fourth season as a starter for the Philadelphia Eagles. I think we forget that Jalen Hurts is actually having a pretty good season. I think we forget a lot about Jalen Hurts and his success. You know, it was 7 weeks ago. People were calling for Jalen Hurts' head. And I was sitting here trying to break down the difference between the career trajectory of Josh Allen and Jalen Hurts. Josh Allen's in his like 8th, 9th season now in the NFL. Jalen Hurts is in his 4th season. And because of Saquon Barkley, my MVP ticket with Jalen Hurts just won't be cashing. I'm sure of that by now. But I think that we should be thankful for the calm, collected, trying to think of another adjective to put in here, the levelness of Jalen Hurts. I mean, Jalen Hurts has played really good the last 7 weeks. The numbers aren't flashy. The stats aren't flashy, but he's making great decisions. He's leading the team. And he's doing what he needs to do. I think it's something special. And I don't think it's going, because of the Saquon Barkley performance, I don't think Jalen Hurts is getting anywhere near the credit he deserves for this season. 13 likes is just not good enough on the show. When you go right now, there's 18 people watching the show on YouTube right now. The algorithm's a little down today. I don't know. It must be Thanksgiving week. But there's 18 people watching right now. So there should be, at a minimum, 18 likes on this video right now. So please hit that like button. Please hit that subscribe button, guys. I'd greatly, greatly appreciate it if you do that. I'm thankful that the Eagles have surpassed the Cowboys as America's team. Yeah, even Chris Collinsworth was giving us some credit. And all the media members that have bashed the Eagles are all of a sudden jumping on the Eagles bandwagon. All the media members are talking about how great the Eagles are. All great, how elite the defense is of the Eagles. Nobody's backtracking on Jalen Hurts talk. They should be, but they're not. But there's nobody backtracking on the Jaden Daniels is better than Jalen Hurts talk either right now. Yeah, Fangio makes adjustments right away. Unlike, I think Bill Furman brought up a really great point about, seeing what Fangio does. What went wrong last year? Well, what went wrong with Sean Desai and Matt Patricia just plain old stunk. That was Andy Dalton in that picture. Yes, Adam. When I Googled, I Googled it from another device and the real Taron Jackson came up. But on my phone, when I Googled Taron Jackson, I got a picture of Andy Dalton. Don't ask me how or why. What? It was one of those weird, wacky things. What I love about the Eagles is we are full of playmakers on both sides of the ball. And I think Bill, my guest from a little bit ago, brought it up great. They play like a team. Like they really, truly do have that singular vision. Saquon doesn't care about records. Jalen Hurts doesn't care about records. They don't care about awards. This Eagles team wants to win a Super Bowl. Plain and simple. They want to win a Super Bowl. And that's all they care about. Nick Sirianni, if you haven't watched it, go back and rewatch him dressing down the team in the locker room after the game on Sunday night. And he delivers his post-game speech. And he just talks about what's next. The next game is all that matters. We have not done shit. That was his quote exactly. Winning 7 in a row doesn't mean shit if you lose at home in January in a playoff game. And keeping that singular vision. You see Eagles fans being very sad and depressed and upset that Brandon Graham is out for the year, maybe for his career. You don't see that coming out of the Eagles locker room. You see the Eagles locker room saying, we're going to pick it up. We're going to make up for it. We got your back. We're going to get you that second Super Bowl before you retire. Everybody's on a same singular vision right now. And I think that's something we've lacked. We lack it with the Sixers. We lack it with the Phillies to an extent. The vision of the Eagles, the transparency from the Eagles. I mean, not to use a cliche term, the gold standard franchise, but it's kind of the way it is. Maybe it was Andy Dalton. Now he switched positions and teams. Maybe that's what it was. Is he playing scout team safety too now? Is that what it is? Oh, happy early birthday to Eric from the Core 12. 44 tomorrow, man. You're beating me to 44 by 3 weeks. I'll be 44 in mid-December. You don't look a day over 60 though in that picture. I'm just gonna say it. But happy birthday, Eric. I'm gonna have to write a note. I'm gonna write a note. Eric's birthday. I'll have to remember so I don't forget. You know, I gotta remember that tomorrow. Otherwise, I will forget. Short-term memory loss problems. This Eagles team is special too. They are special. They are. But what is special is that they're all on the same. They have special players. They got elite talent. They got elite this and that. But what's special is the vision. And I know there was a lot of people that were scared and down on the Nick Sirianni and the CEO role. And yes, I do remember that he couldn't get his hands out of the game planning early in the season. But even Nick Sirianni was able to check his ego, Rick, at the door. And since then, since the bye week, I remember talking about it like a month and a half ago, when the news came out that during the bye week, Lane Johnson, Jordan Mailata, and I forget, maybe Landon Dickerson, went to Nick Sirianni's office and said, yo, look, coach, this is what we need to do more. And Nick Sirianni put his ego aside. Said, all right, guys, we'll try it your way. I'll listen to what you have to say. To me, that is an ultimate coach right there. A coach that is willing to listen to his players. Because one singular vision. That's all they have. Oh, damn. 250. We start the show at 249. 250 subscribers. There we go. Just need like 750 more to get to that monetized site of 1K, but whatever. Muchas gracias to all 250 people that hit subscribe. Guys, if you haven't hit subscribe, please do. Please do me a favor, everybody. You want to give me a Christmas present, a birthday present, a Thanksgiving present, go out there, and each and every one of you go find me another subscriber. Just wherever you go today. Be like, yo, give me your phone. Subscribe. Tell one, tell all, please. I'd greatly appreciate it. But 250 subscribers, that's a great milestone for me. I'm really happy about that. I mean, it's only been, you know what's funny, Mitch? Since I decided not to join anybody else, since I decided to run my own network, my own brand instead of running other people's brands, do you know something that's happened, Mitch? Since I coined the STT Sports Network and said live on the STT Sports Network for the first time, I think it was October 2nd. Do you know the Eagles are 7-0 since I started this? So I'll take full credit. I'm thankful for myself, because if it wasn't for me, the Eagles might have lost one of those games. Just going to say, they are 7-0 since I've taken over my own destiny here, so to speak. But I need more subscribers. But thank you to everybody that's got me to 250 in that 7-week stretch. Eric, I got nothing but love for you, my man. Nothing but love. An OG, before the Core 12 existed, Eric was there. I'm amazed that a mediocre Division III college wide receiver in Sirianni. Oh, okay. Sorry, I was wondering where the first words. Okay, can stand in front of the greatest players in the world and coach them. The most average players in all sports, DJ, typically make the best coaches. Stars don't make great coaches. Role players make great coaches. So that's part one of it. Part two, it's Nick Sirianni's ego. He's got an ego. Everybody's got an ego in sports. But he knows how to check it. I think that's very important. Very important that he checks his ego at the door regularly. I noticed in the last 3 weeks that when Hurts doesn't have anyone open, he has been throwing the ball away rather than trying to force the pass. Jalen Hurts has played fantastic football over the last 7 weeks. Hence the one turnover. Now we can start looking at Nick like the Steelers coach, or the Lions coach, or the Ravens coach. There's a lot of coaches that are in that CEO role. But the guys like Tomlin and Harbaugh that have lasted in one place for so long and adjusted through different team eras because they keep that vision. They keep their ego in check, and I think that's important. Rick, you're a huge Sirianni fan. Anybody that follows my podcast, which is fantastic, knows I'm a big-time Sirianni fan, always have been. He's one of us. Never understood the Sirianni hate. It never made sense. Well, I didn't agree with the Sirianni hate, I'll say, Rick. But on the flip side, I understood it. Because the fans want a certain, how do I say this? The fans want perfection every single week. And I think that has something to do with it. Look, Nick Sirianni, is he the best X's and O's guy? No, probably not. But he's a great leader, great motivator. And when you see that team in the locker room, listen and hang on every one of his words after that victory on Sunday. It's special. It's special. Phil is the Diamond Dallas Page of YouTube. Self high five. Bam. I was a huge DDP fan. DDP. Except for the time where he was the Undertaker stalker. Only time I couldn't stand Diamond Dallas Page. That was stupid. Yeah, 19 more to you know what. I'm at 250 now, so everybody else can do the math for you. Man, I wish it was 18 more for you. That means someone else subscribed. The Sandman ain't wrong to think that. Yeah, absolutely. Sandman's right more often than not. I can see BG being a good coach, he and Kelsey. Yeah, Brandon Graham's going to be a coach this year. Brandon Graham is not going anywhere. He might not be on the field the rest of this year, ever again. For Brandon Graham, the leader, the captain, isn't going anywhere. He's going to be there on the sideline. He's going to be there at practice every single day. No doubt about it. More fans need to take these games 1 week at a time and not weeks. Absolutely. The players take it 1 week at a time. Us fans, we don't, and that is part of the problem. Honestly, Adam, it really, truly is. Phil, I'm starting to believe we get blown out this Sunday. A lot of national positivity, and the fan base is starting to come unhinged. The one thing I'm really curious about is that even before last night's Ravens win, we were 2.5 point dogs to the Ravens. It's hard to win 7 games in a row in the NFL. It's damn sure hard to win 8 games in a row in the NFL. You're going to lose a game or two the rest of the year. They're not going to finish 15-2. They're not going to finish 14-3. They're going to lose at least 2 more games this year. Now, I don't think they'll get blown out. I think it'll be a big test. It'll be a hard-fought game. The Ravens have one less day of prep and rest, so that favors us. Our defense is playing fan. I don't think the Ravens could put up 30 against us. I haven't really gotten down to the nitty-gritty X's and O's, and honestly, this will be one of my lighter weeks of prep because Thanksgiving is Thursday, and I got a big-ass turkey to cook on Thursday. So my prep work's going to be at a minimum this week. But maybe I'll skip Thursday's show, and we'll do a Saturday show or a Sunday morning show. I don't know. We'll see. It's really refreshing just to see Hurts realizing he can live another day. It's refreshing to see Hurts not feel like that Jalen Hurts has to be the guy. That Jalen Hurts doesn't feel like he's got to do everything. It really is. On the hate made sense. If my team aren't playing to our identity, they didn't have an identity, or at least they didn't know what their identity was. The problem is Nick Sirianni acts like he has never won before when he has won plenty of D3 chips. Because those D3 chips mean anything. Those D3 chips don't mean nothing. Happy birthday to Eric, the gatekeeper. Got a feeling the Phillies are going to make some major waves over the next month or so. Yeah, there's a lot of Garrett trade rumors right now. A lot of them involving Alec Bohm. We'll see. The Phillies are going to make some moves. I said it as soon as the season ended, Rick, that we were going to see a drastically different team in 2025. You're going to lose 1 or 2 fan favorites this offseason. 13-4 regular season, 4-0. Well, I don't care what the regular season record is. As long as I see that 4-0 in the playoffs, that's all that matters. Actually, I only think they win 3 games in the playoffs. So I think they overtake the Lions and get the 1 seed. Maybe that's a stretch. I don't believe we were really all that good at stopping the run, but teams are too dumb to stick with it. I think that's interesting. They are ranked very high against the run. Maybe part of it because we've been up so much over the last couple of weeks that they have to pass the ball more. We do get gashed early. I'm still not sure. I know his stats will never look good, but personally, I don't think Jordan Davis is having a very solid season. I think we could be better against the run. I do. And the Rams put that blueprint out there in the first 2 drives, for sure. Like Barry Sanders would say, act like you've been in the end zone before. Oh, yeah. Does those teeth chips come in ranch flavored? I don't like ranch flavored chips. Sorry, not going to say it. Sirianni will snitch to Lori is the players don't listen. Need that paycheck. I don't know about that. I don't think there's any snitching going. This is not a locker room that's fractured. We'll say that. This is not a locker room that has locker room issues. This is a locker room that's all on the same page. This is a locker room that's playing things right. That's what this is. That's what it is. The pump ain't wrong there, but Carter, I mean, I said at the beginning of the show, before garbage time in the fourth quarter kicked in, Jalen Carter played 2 straight games without missing a snap. He played the entirety of the Washington game, and up to that point in the fourth quarter when we went up 3 scores, the entirety of the Rams game. When was the last time a defensive tackle played 100% of snaps? When? It doesn't happen. It's insanity. It is Taron Jackson time, William. It is. To step in as the next guy up, because that's what this Eagles team is, a next up mentality type team. Now, I don't expect Taron Jackson to come in here and put what the Brandon Graham have 4 quarterback pressures on Sunday. He's not going to be the next guy up on the field every play, playing 30, 40% of snaps like Brandon Graham. I expect Nolan Smith and Josh Sweat each to get 3, 4, 5 more snaps. I expect Alex Hunt to get 5, 6 snaps. Then maybe you see Taron Jackson get 5 to 10 snaps in the game on Sunday against the Ravens. He's a young, athletic guy. Well, not as young. Yeah, the line's still at 2.5. I was shocked we were 2.5-point dogs before they played the Ravens. But I think the 2.5-point line is pretty solid. I know the Eagles were plus like 155 money line. I thought that was a pretty strong number to bet for the Eagles. Will the Eagles win on Sunday? I don't know. It's going to be a tough game in Baltimore after Thanksgiving. 7-game winning streak. It's going to be tough. If they win on Sunday, then they're definitely losing to the Steelers. They're going to lose one of their next 2 games, in my mind. I want to see the team try Shipley. I was kind of shocked we didn't see any Will Shipley this past week either. But you don't have a backup running backs when Saquon does what he does. I will say, I get a little nervous watching Saquon get banged up, from play to play here or there. Nolan Smith about to shine. Nolan Smith's been shining for about 7 weeks now. Rick, I don't think people realize. I know the sack numbers aren't there, but the pressure rates and stuff like that and the win rates are there. Nolan Smith's playing really good football this year. Just remember, 3 years into Brandon Graham. We talk so much about Brandon Graham, the legend, in Philadelphia. 3 years into his career, we were calling him a bust. And we're not even a year and a half into Nolan Smith's career, and there were people calling him a bust before the season started. Beansy, I'm looking at you on Twitter. The kid's playing good, and he's getting better. I think he's a great fit in a Vic Fangio-style scheme, and we're just going to continue to see him get better. We are. And Josh Sweat playing better. So I think it's everybody's time to shine. So to me, you learn more about a team and a coach when things are not going well, not during times like now. If we, for some reason, fail to navigate the next wave of adversity, watch out. All we got to do is lose 1 game to the Ravens, and everyone's going to be like, fire Sirianni, cut Jalen Hurts, this and that. Everyone's going to forget about the 7-game winning streak news because that's just what it is. How banged up is Sweaty J? Is Josh Sweat banged up? I must have missed that. Any injuries that happened on Sunday have been ignored because of Brandon Graham. It's hard for Bark to get hurt when no one touches him. Yeah, he took it. But what I'm saying is back to when I was interviewing Bill a few minutes ago, that when he got banged in the cojones, but you didn't know that at first. You just saw him grabbing himself. Every time he goes down, I think I've been scarred by Joel Embiid, Noobs. But anytime a player gets banged up, I begin to worry. I was listening to the radio. The idea was to maybe put Carter on the edge. Yeah, well, first and foremost, let's break this down. Why were you listening to the radio? You only listen to this in the morning, first and foremost. Okay, forget the radio. Turn the dial off. Turn up YouTube. You can plug and play in the car. We've heard for 2 years now, Carter and Milton Williams could play outside. So, yeah, maybe you see a little Jalen Carter on the outside, William. And it's an idea I've already talked about yesterday a little bit that I'd be curious to see if that's what they do. Georgia defense, one of the single greatest college defenses of all time, is now the Eagles defense. And, yeah, and they're finally coming into their own. You can still listen to me in the car. It's just turn it on your radio, plug it in. Come on now. Unless you've got a 1994 Saturn two-door sedan, you could probably listen to me on the radio. Just saying. The Bulldogs are balling. The Kobe Dean, underrated star on this team right now. Jordan Davis is still the question mark in my. I am not writing him off, but I believe after this year they have to make a decision on his fifth-year option or an extension, and it's going to be hard decision, because Milton Williams is coming up and a free agent. Dude, I had one of those. My first new car was one of those generic Saturns. They all look the same. They mass-produced like 50 billion of them. You can lease them for like $79 a month. I had a Saturn lease. Got it like right after high school into college there. That thing got me back and forth to Philly a lot. Great gas mileage. Shitty-ass car. Ugly-ass car. But, yeah. They don't even make Saturns anymore, do they? That was a brand that went away after a while there. But I guess they made their money. Guys, time to start the wrap-up process. It's Thanksgiving week tomorrow, Wednesday before Thanksgiving. What are we thankful for? I think I've made a very strong decision here. I think we're going to skip Thanksgiving show, okay? We'll do a show tomorrow. We'll do a show Friday. And then either Saturday or Sunday morning, we'll do a special morning episode on the weekend of Trending in the AM. That's what I think we're going to do. I think that's going to be the plan for the rest of this week. So tomorrow will be the Thanksgiving show. What are you thankful for in Philadelphia? That's what we're going to do. Jalen Carter should get 30% of Milton Williams' next paycheck. Why, is Jalen Carter making Milton Williams that great? Is that what you're saying? But that's what the plan is for the rest of the week, guys. So with that being said, tomorrow we'll talk about what we're thankful for. We'll talk more Eagles, maybe Sixers. Who knows? I'm not very thankful for anything Sixers related right now outside of Jarrett McCain. But we'll continue on. So, guys, please hit that like button. Please hit that share button. Please hit subscribe. Most of you have subscribed already. Please, I want to see each and every one of you go out and find me one new subscriber for tomorrow. Come on. It's not hard to do. Come on. You guys got me here. Help me out here. Thank you very much, Rick. I can't, have a great one. I'm pretending that Jordan Davis is fine. Maybe. I mean, he's not playing many reps. Thankful for the youth movement. Absolutely. Can't be great without the greatness of others. Absolutely. I don't know if anyone saw, they have a Friday game this week, Chiefs Raiders. Yeah, Black Friday. This is the second year in a row they've done that, Adam. Have a great day, William. That's right. Yes, I will say that in a moment. All right, well, let's just say it now, guys. Go Birds. Bubbles up to y'all. Julep.